Good morning and welcome to our morning show get-together today on WRCO Radio. We're going to talk about a subject near and dear. Today we're going to talk about UW-Richland and some alumni news, an upcoming game for homecoming this year, and also a chance to start thinking about some nominations for outstanding alumnus as well. Joining us in the studio, Kathy Granger, president of the Alumni Association, and Elizabeth Deidelhoff is here today. We won't even make her sing the national anthem before we start.
Well, how kind of you.
But the next Cazenovia Reds game, you're going to be on.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Good to have you in the studio. It's that time of year again.
It is. You know, UW-Richland Homecoming has always been that, iconic event that a lot of alumni do come out for. And it's a little bit later this year than normal due to space availability and, time constraints with working schedules and things like that, but we are still having it. It's May 3rd this year, and it's going to be in the community center gymnasium, and same type of deal. The women kick off at 11, men either immediately following around 12:30. We've had a bigger gap in the past, but we've kind of found hopefully that sweet spot this year, get the women's game done and then do the warm-ups for the men and just kind of help the day move along. So to register to play, you can either contact me by email at edeitlhoff19@gmail.com, or you can call me at 608-604-5090. I do need the registrations in by April 16th so that I can make sure that we have enough T-shirts for everybody. The shirt is going to be it's going to be the same as last year. The doors are closed, but memories are forever, because that's the truth. Unfortunately, we lost that piece of our community. However, as long as we've got players, it's my understanding we're going to keep doing this event because, we all have this deep-rooted connection to that place and to the campus. And so we want to make sure that those alumni that show up every year keep showing up.
And you've had some come from quite a ways away, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. There was a group that used to stay in the dorms over by Milwaukee. They come back, and as we go through life, right, in general, people just kind of move around, right? So we get people that come from La Crosse, Eau Claire area. It just really depends on where they're rooted right now. But they still manage to get our newsletter, so we keep their addresses up to date, but we don't have everybody, there's a lot of people that went to Richland that I'm like, oh, you're a Richland alumni? And they're like, oh, yeah, I went in such and such a year, and I was like, oh, okay, well, did you know that this event is going on? So this event does spread by word of mouth. I am planning to put a event on social media, more specifically Facebook, because that seems to be a platform that a lot of people that went to Richland do connect still in that platform. So if you know somebody that was alum, might be interested in playing, we're not just doing homecoming this day. Like we have a lot of sports memorabilia that we were able to retrieve from the campus, uniforms, plaques, trophies, all of those things. And we want the alumni to have that, especially the alumni that played, right? Because that's a unique part of the culture there. And so we want to be able to give, if we had championship trophies, we want somebody on the championship team to have it, that way they can maybe share it with the team, right? However they want to do that. But, a lot of that stuff's going to be first come, first serve. We're not going to be reserving anything for anybody. And because that just makes it really complicated, unfortunately. And the plan is to do the disbursement of the uniforms, trophies, and sports memorabilia on that day. You can come anytime while we're there. The registration for the women's basketball game does start at 10:30, so we're going to have the sports memorabilia hopefully kind of set up in some sort of organized fashion. We did do an inventory, so we do have some checklists of, kind of what's available so people can look ahead. They don't have to dig through every tote to find, because we've got, I think Kathy said, roughly 20 totes of memorabilia. So it's amazing that we were able to get those items and be able to hopefully give them back to alumni. So starts at 10:30. We're hoping to be wrapping up almost everything, game included, by about 3:30. Just with that space in the venue, we got to be out by a specific time. So we want to make sure that we have time to put everything back into the totes and storage and whatnot. So,
well, hopefully you don't have to put too much back.
Well, that's the hope. We would love to see, even if you just want, let's say the only T-shirt available left is a small, right? But that might mean something to somebody, right? And so if you don't have a more recent version of a uniform, right? Like you could get the blue and the white and the warm-up jersey and the shorts if you want, right? Like we want it to be in the hands of people that will appreciate it, and it just won't, end up in the garbage.
It doesn't cost anything, correct?
No. So if people are willing or want to, they can donate to the scholarship portion of, because we're still giving out our scholarships. So if you want to donate to the Alumni Association, we would use those monies for that.
Some of that, you had some incredible trophies in there as well. And UW-Richland even had a bowling team at one time, too.
Bowling and golf. When we were going through the trophies, I was like, this was a thing? I didn't know. It was before my time there, right? So, even if you just come and see some of the trophies, I'm sure we can set some of them out. But there's a lot because UW-Richland sports was successful, especially in men's basketball and soccer and wrestling, in the early days, popular stuff. So, yeah.
Cross country, I think they had that as well. So, and we're very successful. Kathy Granger, too, you were on the basketball team, but it was for the normal college, correct?
Yes, we were Deserettes. And so we do have one tote that is nothing from the county, everything from the county college. So it was amazing when we started taking things out of the cases and putting them in totes. Because it's like, oh my goodness. But initially we were concerned that Platteville would just come in with a dumpster, and we did not want that to happen. And now we have them in a storage unit, so hopefully we won't have as many totes to go back to the storage unit.
Yeah, it's a part of the history, though, and hopefully it gets to the right hands, correct?
And I think Liz touched upon that people that played, it was an important time in their life, and it meant a lot to them. Now, some people say, I don't need another dust collector in my house, but some are saying, I really hope I can end up with this plaque. And some of those plaques are beautiful, just really, really beautiful. In fact, it'd be nice if it went to somebody on the team. But you mentioned first come, first serve, so someone shouldn't feel guilty if they take it and maybe somebody else.
Right, it's kind of first come, first serve because we really have no way to how do you choose, right? Okay, Liz picked. She showed up first, so she gets first pick, right? If we were to be okay, well, Liz wasn't here until, I don't know, when did I go to campus? I graduated in 2013. So, I went from 2010 to 2012, and then I moved on to, a different school. But, how do you, prioritize that in a different way? We couldn't come up with a different solution. So, first come, first serve. Like I said, ideally, we want somebody on the team that was maybe part of it during that era. There is the Ron Ganser trophy as well. We're willing to take people's names off that plaque, give it to them if they show up. And the hope would be that, people that played, let's say on the volleyball team during the time that I was there, I'll use that for example. I know that they were successful. If there's someone on that team that wants it, maybe they are still in connection with those alumni. Maybe it can be a traveling trophy for them, be creative on how you're going to want to, share that with your team over the next, 30 years. So it maybe isn't stuck as a dust collector, like Kathy said, right? Really, you all have the same pride and connection to one item. Okay, let's share it, right? Let's do the movie that's coming to mind is Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, where they take this pair of pants, fits them all, right? They're all on the same team, right? So when you're on the same team, you all have that same connection.
Yeah, pass it around.
That's right.
And UW-Richland had such a worldwide presence. I mean, there were a lot of exchange students that were on the sports teams as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're in connection with one of them, we're a month away still. So, hey, I remember a couple girls that played when I was there, and I'm if I can find them on social media, I don't know if I can or not, but it's worth a shot, right? who do I know that might be interested in coming out and joining in this event, even if they don't want to play, right? Like, we want to see you, and we want players too, don't get me wrong. I think there's 4 or 5 total registered between the men and the women right now, so it's like 2 apiece, right? So it's like this 2-on-2 battle, right? It's always a race right at the very end. We typically have anywhere from 10 to 15 men that sign up to play. So you got a sub. So if you're a little bit on the older side, it's okay. Or you're just playing out of shape, like, that's okay too. Like, we use our timeouts when we need to. Sometimes we take extras, right? Like, we want people to come. We want people to have fun and enjoy themselves. And generally everybody leaves with smiles, right? Because they're all sharing these same memories that we as the Alumni Association are sharing too.
Yeah, lots of times you have more success finding the men players. The women, I think sometimes when the women put the ball away for the last time, they're done, Yeah,
sometimes, but a lot of that has to do with, there's a group of the youngest part of the campus, right? They're kind of in like childbearing years, right? So like they have to be mindful, okay, if I'm, going to have a baby soon, right? They can't play basketball. It just doesn't work like that. But, we have had a lot of alumni that, got through that phase of life that are now like, oh, I want to play, right? Like they played for a little bit, they left, they came back, so like, or they've always just been there. So it's fun. The women, I do have to kind of like get on the old messenger and be like, hey, I could use another player. Hey, could you come play? But it's fun. I like having that connection to the campus as well, because they're like, oh, I know who I can contact if I want to know what's going on with the Alumni Association. I feel that I do provide that key connection to the sports part of it because I played. I had a lot of fun there, and the memories are very near and dear to my heart. So,
well, somebody listening, not only to get them involved in the game, but maybe you have or know somebody that was on one of those teams. Somebody from the community knows that person isn't going to be back. They should show up that day and maybe claim that then.
Yes, yeah. So if you absolutely cannot make it, that's one thing that I do want to encourage. Like, if you know somebody that's maybe not in Richland Center, but maybe within an hour that would be willing to come and pick up a piece of sports memorabilia for you, that's okay. You don't have to come in and say, hey, it's not like the teacher in school, hey, so-and-so is doing this, right? Like, we want this to be in the hands of the alumni. So if my friend Jenny, right, can't be here, we want you to have somebody come and get an item for you, especially if they know what they are looking for. I want a basketball uniform. Doesn't matter what it is. I just want, a white and blue or a red and blue or whatever the era was at that time, because like there's white and blue uniforms, there's red and blue uniforms, and there's like different types because it spans over the whole course of the campus's years of education, right? So every time, either the campus changed a name due to whether it was regionalized or, UW-Richland era or college era, we've got soccer uniforms from like way back in the day. They're pretty cool. They say UW-Richland on them, which, if you went there at that time, I would want that, right? Like, that would be important to me. So, we want somebody to come for someone else if that's the only option.
May 3rd.
May 3rd's the day. We'll see you there.
Absolutely. And Kathy, this is one of 2 big events that the association puts on during the year.
That is true. And they are our main events. I give Liz so much credit, the amount of work she does into this event. But we have a board. Obviously, we're all volunteers, and yet we are all dedicated and have a devotion to the alumni, and I would like to name them.
Go ahead.
Obviously, Liz is our wonderful secretary and so active in the other events. Stephanie Kinder is our vice president. She was in 07. Margaret Davidson was in class of 68. She is our treasurer. Rob Kinder, 08, is our membership manager, which he is our database. He gets your name and address in so that everybody gets the newsletters. Our directors are Gail Huffman, who is now at Platteville, but she was a faculty member out there. And so she's kind of our historian link. Ben Kelch, class of 79. Mike Frederick, class of 97. And we have a new member, Madison Gander, who was 2019. And so I really appreciate the different age levels because they come with different talents, different places in life, and so I just commend them for being wanting to keep working at our events.
Has anyone ever estimated how many students attended classes?
Well, we send out about 4,600 newsletters twice a year. Is that list complete? Unfortunately, not. And we try to keep it updated. For example, when we have our deceased members, we remove those from the list. And if somebody says, "Oh, I'm not on the list," whether like WRCO would like to be on our mailing list, they're full speed ahead.
That's a lot of people.
And we do that twice a year.
And speaking of which, that leads us toward one of the reasons you're here today, Kathy. You'd like to stir up some interest in getting more worthy people nominated.
It is phenomenal when it comes to the outstanding alumni. The nominations come to me. I get to read them. I'm not on the selection committee, but just to read those and see the impact that this campus and the county college made in so many people's lives. We miss Mrs. Wallace, but her legacy is here forever.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Can you talk a little bit about this past fall and the people that went in?
It was phenomenal. We had Mary Subecki, am I pronouncing her name correctly? Jonathan Yancey. Help me out on the third one. It's in here.
Ed Pulvermacher, from the campus era. And county college people were Janet Goplin-Kinney, who was a fantastic basketball player, and she better be there to get some of those county college basketball plaques or trophies. And Tom Simonson was our other county college person. So now for this year, obviously, I'd like to get the nominations by April 29th. They can either mail them to me or email them to me, call me, however. And people will go, I don't deserve this. Oh, my goodness. I mean, it's truly phenomenal. And last year, Cliff Kavanaugh was our MC. Well, he's one of a kind. His humor was so great. But each one of the recipients have a few minutes to give their thank yous and give stories. So we had laughter and we had tears with some of those comments, and we're looking forward to that this year.
Can someone nominate somebody posthumously?
That has come this year. I've had that question, so the board has to answer that at our next meeting. Personally, I'm in favor of it. I think probably some of them are so humble they don't want to have their name nominated.
Right.
But I really think we need to honor whoever deserves to be honored.
What about past faculty members? Do you do anything to honor them through the years? Or have you had anything for recognition there?
Not really. I usually try to get a past faculty member as the MC, like Jean Burkett. And again, we Cliff Kavanaugh. It's important to get that connection, and the students really seem to enjoy having that faculty member there as the MC.
You get a chance in some cases to have children see their mom or their dad, or grandchildren or great-grandchildren to see them honored. That's got to be something.
And it really is neat how I set people with their families together so that they're not just helter-skelter around the room. And they really do enjoy hearing their stories and recognizing that they've made a difference. They really have made a difference in this world. Last year, our brunch had people that were from the early 1950s through a student that was in the last graduating class. So we have a wide range of people that attend, family, friends, co-workers, anybody can come to the brunch, not just the alum. We want it all inclusive. It is held at the Phoenix Center. They do a beautiful job with the meal and helping us set up and decorate. So it is on October 4th, Saturday, October 4th, which is a busy day in this community. But we start registration at 10:30 and get their name tags and the seating. And promptly at 11, we start the program. And so we have the program in which the people are introduced, they give their comments, and then after that is the meal. We also honor and recognize any member from, this year it'll be from 1955, 1965, 1975, 85, 95, 205, and 215. Not a lot come, but they are recognized.
Oh, wonderful. And in terms of people nominating, how can they find the forms?
We don't have a formal form.
Okay.
It is much easier. What I have asked is they do a letter or a page or however long telling me why the overall person, whether it be their profession, their career, their community service, all the things that make them worthy of the outstanding alum.
Yeah, very well. We'll have more about it coming up here in a little bit. Alumni news from UW-Richland. Elizabeth Deidelhoff and Kathy Granger are in the studio on today's morning show. Elizabeth Deidelhoff and Kathy Granger in our studios today to talk about the upcoming special days, the Alumni Basketball Day, and then also the annual Alumni Brunch for UW-Richland. And really exciting times. I think it's kind of good and very important, Liz, to make sure that everybody still does this and reunites from time to time, right?
Yeah, it's an annual event, and there's just something about, we were talking on break, how there's just something about the culture and the community at UW-Richland that just kind of brings alumni from, whether you played in sports or not, it brings you together. It's community, right? And, as a whole community, obviously, we feel that difference of not having the facility open, but we do hope with this event that people can come back, they can share memories, they can, see alumni that maybe they haven't seen in years, right? Like, there's a couple that I played with, right? I message them and they're like, no, I don't want to play. I'm like, but you should still come because there might be somebody there that hasn't seen you in X amount of years and they would love to have a conversation with you. So it's really open for everybody. And, this whole sports memorabilia too, like I said before, we want it to be in the hands of alumni. It doesn't do us any good to have it stuffed away in a tote. And if that's what you're going to do with it, okay, fine. But you still have that piece, right? You still have that piece of the campus that you can share your stories once in a while, right? With your family or your kids or whatever. This place was important to me at one point in my life. And I know that Kathy talked a little bit about this with the alumni nominations, but, there's so many people just in our rural community. That doesn't include anybody outside of the Richland area community, right? Like just in the Richland community that the campus had such a big impact on that have never been nominated for the outstanding alumni. And I'm like, oh, that might be a good person. Oh, that might be a good person. But it doesn't matter if I can be like, oh, that might be a good person. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't feel comfortable nominating somebody, but sometimes it's kind of hard to put together those thoughts and ideas, right? Like if you know somebody that has good leadership skills, they've done successful things in their, career, whether it's they just graduated, like Kathy said, we had a younger fellow, Jonathan Yancey, was one of those nominees this last year. He's done some great things in his short-lived, adult professional career. And it doesn't matter how short or long that period of time is. If you're being successful and you're dedicated to your workplace, like that is what we want to see, right? Because it really all started, they're all going to say, it started at UW-Richland because they gave me the tools to succeed, right? Like it just all comes back full circle. And so if if you don't know what to say, that's fine. But like Kathy said, just it's like writing a paper, right? 3-4 paragraphs, talking to us, telling their story about why you think that they're qualified. How are they involved in their community that they live in, and that's my plug on the Outstanding Alum. We just do so much, and a lot of us are very humble about what we do, and we deserve to be recognized too, and it's okay to be recognized and accept that nomination. If someone like Kathy calls you and says, "Hey, you've been nominated to be an Outstanding Alumni at for UW-Richland or UW, whatever area of the campus that you went there," right? Like, we want to hear from you, and it's a good sense of pride, when you get that phone call from Kathy. So,
is there a database of people that have been honored in the past where people could check that, Kathy?
Yeah, excuse me. We have 2 large plaques that every year. No, excuse me. We have all the names and the years that they were graduated there, and the first one was Mrs. Wallace in 1974. So we do have the database.
That's good to reference.
It's pretty striking. It's like amazing.
Wow, that's awesome. How did the basketball come out last year, Elizabeth? Did your team win, or do you remember?
I think I was on the losing team last year, but that's okay. I love to play. It's nice to just play a pickup game, and we had refs, I think, for the women's game, and then we were short a couple. I don't know. Some things happened. We had to shuffle our refs into actual playing last year to have enough numbers for the guys because, things do come up last minute, and we understand that. If you show up the day of, you might not have the shirt we have, right? Just bring a red and a blue shirt, right? Like, if you miss the deadline of April 16th, bring a red, bring a blue shirt. It can be from any era of if you've played in alumni games before and you're like, oh man, I forgot to register. Most likely I'm going to say, I'll get you on a team, right? Like, you're going to be able to play if you want to. And I don't know. It's a great atmosphere that day. I really enjoy the event. Not just me, but I know other alumni do too, and they all leave with smiles. That's my favorite part, right? Like, everybody, whether they're sore from running up and down the court, right, or maybe they kind of tweak their back or something, right? Because when you're doing those wicked post moves, sometimes, you get a little out of whack. The older you get, right? Like, am I in shape? I don't know. I guess I'll find out, right? That's how it goes.
Are you sponsored by Deep Heating Rub or any chiropractors in the area or anything like that? Or?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of.
But what about sponsorship? Because seriously, you do have sponsors.
Yeah. So over the past, I guess as long as I've been doing the homecoming, organizing, we've been doing sponsorships from the community, and all of those monies help to offset the cost of the event, but they also go back into our pool to continue to provide scholarships to area students that are looking to continue higher education. We give out 3 scholarships a year, and so any of those basically leftover monies from our expenses do come back, go into that scholarship fund, and anybody can be a sponsor. You can be an individual sponsor or a business sponsor. Typically, our sponsorships, they're very reasonable. It's like $20 to have your name listed on our sheet, or $50 to have like a business card size on the piece of paper in our program. I'm not really sure how I'm working that out yet this year, but just wing it. Just wing it. But we've had a lot of businesses that this community is Richland focused, right? So a lot of businesses now were alum at some point, and so they we really appreciate that they give back to the organization that supports continuing education. A lot of kids get priced out of higher education because they can't afford it, So being able to provide those scholarships, and as a scholarship recipient, as I was going through college, much appreciated. So we're very grateful that we're able to give that money back to the community.
And that's for several area high schools that you look at? Mm-hmm.
We work with the foundation with our scholarship program, and now, of course, we're not having students here. It's quite a wide range of schools that those are offered to.
What about contact information, Kathy? If somebody would like to get a hold of you.
My home number is 608-489-3629. And I'm not even going to give out my cell because where I live, the reception just isn't real great. My email is fairladykkg@yahoo.com.
Okay.
And I want to commend Liz. You heard how flexible she is for the event. And that makes this whole thing so much fun because there aren't these hard and fast rules. It's like we're all there for the right reason.
Will there be some sort of reception after the game with ice or anything like that?
Well, I know that we are planning on doing popcorn, probably some sort of light thing, especially like during the games. Typically alumni are welcome to hang around even, and some even help us like pack stuff up, right? We, I think, have the place until 4. So, if the game gets done, I don't know, at 2 o'clock, people are welcome to stick around and visit and hang out. If we, quote, run out of time, if it's sunny outside, like, let's hang out in the parking lot, right? Like, we're not doing anything formal per se, but you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to come at 10:30 and stay the whole day. We're not going to chase you away. So
take home a trophy.
Yes, take home a trophy or a uniform.
Either way.
Totes of uniforms, for sure.
Anything else either of you would like to add today?
Well, I think we're all saddened that we lost our campus and that the state took our campus away, but they cannot take away the fact that we're all alum. Mm-hmm. And that's a very special feeling that we are grateful that we had the opportunities. When one person that I failed to mention earlier is John Poole. He obviously helped start our association, very dedicated throughout the years, both to students and to the association. And I just want to thank John.
Mm-hmm. Well said, Kathy. Liz, anything?
I couldn't agree more. He's been very helpful. I had him as I think he was the recruiter at the time when I started, right? And so you just kind of like keep seeing John Poole pop up, right? But it's helpful, right? Like it's helpful to have that connection because he does help me a lot with the newsletter in class updates and, unfortunately in the in memoriam section, I don't know all those people, right? And so it's nice to have other people and if you have other information for the newsletter, like if you've had a class update recently or whatever, we do the newsletter twice a year, primarily to provide information to our alumni about the 2 main events that we do, but we also do it to we have that class notes section in there, and I don't know, maybe a year or 2 ago, I started the Alumni Minute section, which is just a longer article in there outside the class notes highlighting a specific alumni. You can share your story on what that looks like. How did you start at Richland? Where did you go after Richland? What did you do? It's kind of like a storybook in a short article, and so I like that piece because I'm able to feature somebody specific, and you can either have a picture in there or not. So the hope is that we get more people for that section because I honestly want to have to be like, oh man, I have so many articles for the Alumni Minute, I don't know what to do, right? But that's usually not the case. Usually I'm like, I wonder who I should feature this time. So if you get our newsletter and you want to be featured in there and share a little bit, and sometimes some of those articles can be used to be like, oh, this person's got a lot of leadership skills, right? Sometimes that kind of serves as an informal, even though you wrote it yourself, right? An informal nomination into the Outstanding Alumni nomination form. And then we can see if we can figure out who might have some more information for this person, and we can make a couple phone calls and be like, hey, this person submitted a great Alumni Minute article. They have a lot of good qualities that would meet the nomination for the Outstanding Alumni nomination. Do you know anything else, or if they've done anything else outside of what they told us? Does that make sense?
It does. And I really like the alumni newsletter as well, and I like the fact that it's still a paper that you get in the mail, because this day and age, most of the time everything's electronic.
Yeah, and we do have emails for especially the sports people. But if you're I don't want to receive a hard copy anymore, you can email me at edieitelhoff19@gmail.com. We started an email list a few years ago, and a lot of people only get it electronically.
Okay.
And I also share it. We have the UW-Richland Alumni Facebook group, which has a lot of alumni in it. I think it's close to 500 or something like that. But I do post it in there too because, not everybody gets a hard copy, right? Like, we mail out close to 5,000, but we don't have all of the students, so how can we continue to reach these people? So if you want to be on our email list, you can email me or check out the UW-Richland Alumni Facebook page, and it's posted in there as well with all of I try to post it in there when we publish the article. So
how often do you publish?
Twice a year.
Twice a year.
Once in the spring and once in the winter, spring, and then before the October brunch, so like August.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. But
it doesn't cost anything to receive a newsletter. We appreciate membership. Dues are only $4 a year, but you still can have a newsletter without paying. And people who are not alum also receive our newsletters that either had a family member or just like to keep up to date on what we're doing.
The key dates to remember now: May 3rd,
Yep.
Your basketball game, and then
October 4th.
4th, okay.
And the deadline for basketball is April 16th for like the shirt order. But you can sneak in
Sure.
if you've got a red or blue shirt.
Somebody shows up that day, you're not going to turn them away.
That's right.
They
That's
haven't
right.
registered,
Bring your shorts, bring your shoes, and we'll see you there.
There you go. Good deal. Be a fun one to broadcast, too. I'll have to think about that.
Sounds good. We'll see you there.
That would be great.
The UW-Richland Alumni News. Thanks to Kathy Granger and Elizabeth Deidelhoff for joining us here on this portion of today's morning show.